running into Catherine around Boar's Head. She's a tremendous champion for the tennis community, and every time, this is the second time Catherine's been on the program, I've really been impressed with how wide-reaching her network is. All across the Commonwealth, just a great person with positive energy. Today she's brought Mason McGrady with her to the program. He's a second year at the University of Virginia, and he is a tremendous tennis player. And we're going to spotlight Mason. I saw him practicing yesterday with you, Catherine, right next to the pickleball courts at Boar's Head. I was walking out after playing some squash, and dude, your forehand is nasty. Aww. Oh my gosh.
You didn't see my backhand.
Well, I'll ask you about your backhand, Mason. The program will start in about 15 seconds, guys. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching. We'll welcome some friends from Tennessee to the program. We see Buckhead right outside Atlanta on the show. Friends from Williamsburg, welcome to the program. I think we got a good reach on the network, and it's growing every day. The Piedmont Area Tennis Association is just a fantastic community stakeholder and positive influence, and that's led by the fantastic Catherine D'Souza, who we will see in a matter of seconds here on the show. Judah, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Guys, good Friday afternoon. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We're live in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network, and so much to cover on the Friday edition of the show. Fantastic friend of the program, Catherine D'Souza, is in the house. She is the executive director of the Piedmont Area Tennis Association, her second rodeo on the show, and today is going to be one of the best shows we have ever done, as she's welcomed one of her athletes, Mason McGrady, to the program, a second year at the University of Virginia. You're going to see a stellar tennis player, in fact, two stellar tennis players on the show in about 5 minutes. We want to thank some of our partners. Castle Hill Cider is one of our fantastic partners, and they have a fantastic event right around the corner that features the best of 231. It's the 231 Festival. Folks, the 231 Festival is Sunday, May 15th, a benefit for the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. Please get your tickets at castlehillcider.com/231. Judah Wickhauer is our director. And Judah, if you could put on screen how our viewers and listeners can win free coffee for an entire year, thanks to Greenberry's Coffee. Greenberry's Coffee, guys, the longest running coffee distiller in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, offering your chance to win free coffee for a year. Is it enter.greenberries.com, J-Dubs? Yes. Enter.greenberries.com, the URL. Judah Wickhauer is our fantastic director. Now, Judah, before we start the top two topics of the show, maybe a studio camera shot, and Catherine and Mason can wave to everybody that's watching the program. You will see these guys in a matter of 2 minutes for those that are asking. Dan Pettit, I promise Catherine is right around the program, right around the area here. Hello, Patty Zeller, and welcome to the program as well. 5 states on the program right now. The lead of the show is something I've been championing for so long, and that's this designated outdoor refreshment area. There's one coming to the shops of Stonefield. I think this is just a fantastic idea. The Board of Supervisors were the first in the area to jump on this of Albemarle County. The shops of Stonefield, 15 Fridays this year, will have a designated outdoor refreshment area where customers will be able to enjoy wine and cider and local beers and cocktails while walking around the Stonefield Shopping Center. Here's the interesting dynamic that I think we should follow as locals. The Stonefield designated outdoor refreshment area is at the same time of Fridays after 5. So I think this could offer maybe some competition for the City of Charlottesville's flagship event. So I'm going to watch closely as locals, have now 2 choices for live music, for fraternizing, for meeting friends, and for having a beverage or 2. We will see if some of the customer base from Fridays after 5 on the downtown mall is pulled to Stonefield. Follow that very closely. Regardless, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, job well done with approving the DORA. Justine Montgomery says, hi, Catherine from Vermont. Thanks for all the tennis community. Justine, we'll get to Catherine in about 60 seconds here on the show. I got one other topic for you guys before we get to Catherine and Mason. Folks, a local business now for sale. What we've been trying to do is spotlight the local businesses in the community that are for sale, that are opportunities for the next generation of business owners to take over. This business is the Hive Art and Craft Bar. It's in the McIntyre Plaza. The asking price is $90,000 and includes all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, the social media, the website, the supplies, the customer list. This is a fantastic opportunity for an enterprising entrepreneur that likes arts, crafts, working with families and kids. At $90,000, it's fantastically priced. For example, the custom bar that's at the Hive costs nearly $10,000 for the current owners to make. That puts things in perspective. Social media and website for you as well. More details on the Hive and its for sale opportunity online at iloveseville.com/for sale. I also, with Patty Zeller watching the program, friend of the show, want to encourage anyone that's watching the program, if you're looking for work, Animal Connection is hiring right now in Ix Park. Patty Zeller, much like Catherine, is a community stakeholder and just has so much positive energy for Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. Animal Connection, hiring right now if you're looking for a job, folks. All right, Judah, let's go to the studio camera and let's welcome the stars of today's show. My friend, Catherine D'Souza, and also a new friend, and Mason McGrady. Guys, thank you kindly for joining us. How are you doing today?
Tired.
Yeah? Mason's in the middle of exams. That's why he's tired. Is that right, Mason?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
He kindly has come here thanks to some persuasive talk from Catherine and has done this show. Why don't we introduce Mason first? Spotlight yourself, introduce yourself to everybody that's watching today's show.
My name's Mason McGrady. I'm a second year at the University of Virginia, and I've been playing adaptive tennis for about 6 months, 7 months, somewhere around there. I lose track of time. I have a background mostly in wheelchair basketball, so that's kind of what got me into wheelchair tennis. But, other than that, is there any other information I should?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Catherine, introduce yourself to all those that are watching, and then put in perspective why he's such a talented tennis player.
I'm Catherine D'Souza. As Jerry mentioned, I'm the Executive Director of the Piedmont Area Tennis Association, and I'm also on the USTA National Wheelchair Tennis Committee, which kind of is how we ended up getting connected in a roundabout way. But last summer, I was a part of a tournament in Richmond, a very successful wheelchair tournament called the River City Slam, which is coming up next month. And shortly thereafter, we had discussions with the Boar's Head to have an indoor tournament in December, in which we'll be having our second tournament in December. Jump forward a few months, Sportable, Forest Lodge of Sportable connected me with Mason. And in August, we had our first outdoor wheelchair tennis. I think actually we went inside at the Boar's Head. I have to give a huge shout out to the Boar's Head because they have been hugely supportive of everything we have done in so many ways. And if it wasn't for Troy Porco and everybody at the Boar's Head, I don't know where we'd be because we wouldn't have been practicing that much in the winter. So Mason and I met in August, and as he said, he has played a lot of wheelchair basketball, which has given him really incredible chair skills, and that's kind of the challenge for new wheelchair tennis players is if they're not experienced in a chair, then they have 2 things to work on, the chair and the tennis. Well, he has incredible chair skills, very fast. And so we were working on tennis skills, and he has just come so far. I guess we started practicing regularly in November,
Yeah, somewhere in there.
and his tennis has improved immensely.
Wow, immensely.
Yeah.
You buying that over there? Mason.
I mean, when you start from zero, yeah.
I watched you. You're a heck of an athlete, man. You were
Thank you.
moving. You have great ground strokes.
Thank you.
I mean, the hand-eye coordination was obvious. Competitive spirit was obvious. It seemed like you truly. I mean, I literally was standing, kind of lurking, watching you guys for like 15 minutes to prep for this interview. It looks like that you have a zest and love for the sport.
I mean, yeah, it kind of started off like it was something to do, but now that I've gone to a couple tournaments and practiced a bunch at this point, I've really become a tennis player. Honestly, I really, really enjoy it. I mean, I obviously still love basketball, but you know, having two sports that you do on a regular basis is very nice and liberating.
How
It's-
does wheelchair basketball help your wheelchair tennis game?
Well, it helps and hurts it, kind of, because like in wheelchair basketball, you're kind of normalized to like get to the ball as quickly as possible. In tennis, it's not the same thing. That does not happen at all. You got to take it really slow. But I mean, in terms of benefits, you know, physicality, your stamina is also built inside basketball. I mean, just coaching, like putting your head down and actually listening, which I still don't do. But, you know, the skills are there. Sometimes I just don't use them.
Dan Pettit watching the program. He's
Hi,
a
Daniel.
fabulous tennis player himself. He says Mason versus Jerry, 6-0 Mason. I'll take it a step further. Mason versus me, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0 Mason. I do not win a game in that match right there. He also says Catherine is a great person and gives her heart and time to our tennis community. Put that in perspective. I mean, you are committed. I mean, and now you love what you do, like I do, and it helps when you love your work. You make your passion your profession. The saying is you don't work a day in your life. Still, it's the hours. There's a lot that goes into it. You are wearing a lot of hats, right? Let's put that in perspective for us.
Well, it is true. People may say something like, you know, how do you do this? I'm like, well, I love it. So I get up in the morning and I can't wait to go to my laptop. You know, I can't wait after my daughter goes to school. You know, I just can't wait to jump in and get started. We have a great board at PATA. Noelle Jorgensen is our president, and she's my go-to with everything we do. We just have a great tennis community in Charlottesville. It's very unique and it's special, and I love, you know, every time we capture one more person that hasn't been a part of our community. I mean, there's plenty of it in our PATA community, but maybe someone that gets more involved. It's just great to have another option for people in Charlottesville to play. I mean, you know, everything we do is fun. It's competitive, but it's fun.
So the cool aspect of the show, guys, is you, the viewer and listener, can offer your thoughts and perspective to Catherine and Mason. You can leave your comments in the comment section, and I will relay them live on air. Comments are coming in fast and furious. I'll emphasize this again. Catherine, one of the most popular people in this community. Every time I see someone walking by Catherine, they want to talk with her, and they're really drawn into her positive energy. So this question's coming from Jennifer for Mason. Do you feel you get a lot of support, Mason, with wheelchair sports at the University of Virginia?
So I know the University of Virginia's tried to do a couple of adaptive programs, but they haven't worked out. It kind of depends on the day. UVA can sometimes be very supportive and very productive, but I think just because of the novelty of it, you know, there's obviously some concerns about it, and like, oh, do we have to invest a lot of money into it, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It also requires the university to like build an accessible environment, is the big thing. Because, I mean, you can have an adaptive program, but if that adaptive program isn't accessible physically, socially, then, you know, it's just not going to be a prospect for potential athletes. So I think, yeah, they're doing their part like to a degree, but obviously having way more support would be fantastic.
What do you think of that question, Catherine? Michael Wyatt is giving you some props
Hi,
right now.
Michael.
What do you think about that question that I just asked Mason?
Well, I think it's going to be a process. And I'll mention our club team in a minute, but, well, maybe I'll mention it now.
Sure.
Because, so Mason and I, and we have two other players, we have formed the first wheelchair club team in the state of Virginia.
Oh, let me give you some props on that with the sound machine here. That is awesome.
Yeah, it is
That is
awesome.
awesome, Mason.
It's awesome. We're actually the first in Mid-Atlantic, if you will. The closest school to Virginia is Clemson. So the nice thing is there are some programs that are going on across the country. Some have been around for around 2 decades, and some are relatively new. And some of those schools, like I'll use University of Alabama. They are the premier adaptive college in the country. Well, actually, I mean, there's a few others, but they have their own wheelchair tennis facility.
Wow.
And they have their own wheelchair basketball facility. But, you know, they have a community that's larger than ours, but we're working on that. But Mason made a good point about, you know, how do we attract more students that are in chairs or disabled for whatever reason. Some, you know, we have one student who wears prosthetics. He can walk, but he doesn't have, you know, legs. So I think it's a process, and we are working on it, just trying to bring more awareness to everyone in the community. President Ryan has been really great about communicating via email, just trying to keep him updated on what's going on. I know he's busy, and he's been doing a lot of wonderful things. So just getting this wheelchair club team official, it literally became official the last week of March, if not the first week of April. It took us about 2 months to get it going.
1 week before we went to
1 week
nationals.
before,
Yeah.
so whenever you want to get to the tournament we went to at USTA National Campus, we can discuss that. But I just think as far as the university being supportive, I think they are. I just think it's going to take some time.
Yeah, it also takes people. I mean, Alabama, like the difference between Alabama and the University of Virginia is like, we have a bigger endowment. We obviously have more money, but with Alabama, they had like top-down support. They had alumni networks who wanted to actually invest. They had help with the administration. I mean, at UVA, this is like down up. Like it's one student who wants to play, a coach, and one student who comes out sometimes. Like we have to have like some sort of establishment for it to like the University of Virginia to actually like notice and want to potentially invest.
We got our friends at Kingsmill Resort watching the program, our friends at the Boar's Head Resort watching the program as we speak. I see Farmington on the show.
Oh, good.
Watching the program. I want to acknowledge Amy O'Leary. Hello and welcome to the show.
Amy, he's awesome.
So, Mason, why'd you pick UVA then? I mean, I take
Money.
Is that why?
In-state tuition.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I'm a Franklin County native, so it's just a lot cheaper. They offered scholarships. It's kind of that, and also like it was nearer to home. I mean, like it doesn't put a lot of stress on me. A lot of my doctors at UVA, so it was just a very convenient option. Would I have picked it solely for accessibility? No. No, I mean, every university has their issues. In Charlottesville, we have a hill every single way you turn.
Right.
So it kind of makes a difficult situation for the university. But there are also still steps that they can take to increase accessibility on campus.
Do you feel compelled, or do you feel that the need to be a stakeholder to share that perspective with the university to help improve the facility? Because I can see this is a passion,
Yeah, I mean,
a necessity.
Yeah, now that I'm in the university, yeah, certainly. I mean, coming into it, probably not. But now that I'm here, it's a lot of the problems are apparent and I think are very fixable. I'm actually I just got elected to the exec board on like a student advocacy group for disabilities on campus. So I'm hoping that with that position, with the Wheelchair Tennis Club, and with other connections I have in the public health department, you can actually start achieving some sort of like tangible changes that I hope will snowball into something. Like improving the accessibility of curb ramps, improving our web accessibility, having accessible tours of UVA, because right now we don't. I think all of those added together can hopefully create a more positive environment for people with disabilities to come to the university and keep initializing that change.
Great take. Follow-up question for you, and then Catherine, I want to highlight the goals of the club. So follow-up for you, Mason. Why with the, I went to UVA, you know I did. We all bleed orange and blue here in this studio. Why do you think with a university that is world-class, I mean, we're talking a world-class university here, that this hasn't been maybe as big a priority as it should have been?
So the university, again, they don't provide many incentives for people with disabilities to come to their university and actually pursue a higher education there. And that's because the environment, I mean, your physical environment is disabling in itself because you have a ton of hills, your curb ramps maybe aren't up to speed, some accessible routes aren't totally fleshed out. I know a couple routes depend on elevators being open, which are closed on the weekends. So there's several things in that arena that definitely contribute to it. Which then leads into, well, nobody with disabilities wants to come here, so there's no social environment that's built. There's no culture of disability. I mean, what you see at Alabama is a bunch of people with disabilities coming together, creating a collective group, and it feels inclusive. We have the Student Disabilities Access Center, SDAC, which helps a bit, but there's nothing student run that's very tangible that allows people to feel included who may have a disability. And I mean, when you don't see that action reflected in your university's physical environment, it's just kind of, why should I come here? I mean, that's the ultimate question for people with disabilities. The only reason I came was because of money. That's not a very good reason for somebody with a disability to come who may be out of state.
I appreciate the straightforwardness, very much so. Catherine, what's the goal for the wheelchair tennis club that you've founded? And we got a charter member here, right?
Well, yes. We founded it together. It took him, though, to be the voice to make it expedited. If it wasn't me alone, we needed, not that we needed him, but I mean, he's the center of this team.
Yeah.
And my reaching out initially, I got a little bit of response, but once he got it, I'm like, no, I said, Mason, I need you. You need to do something because they're not really listening to me. Once he got involved, it was really quick. And the student council at UVA, I need to give a shout out to them. They have been good about working with us and making things happen. But our goals, well, we practice as often as we can because you have to practice to get better, right?
Yep. That question just came in. How often do you practice, and when is the next competition?
Well, so he's getting ready to go home because they get out. He'll go home next week to Franklin County, as he mentioned. And he did not mention he was #1 in his graduating high school class, but he was.
Very nice, Mason.
He's very humble.
I see that.
So, one reason that we really kind of wanted our club to happen quickly is that we had an opportunity to go to the USTA National Campus in Orlando. And thanks to USTA Mid-Atlantic, USTA National Wheelchair in Orlando, thanks to Kim Armstrong for supporting financially our endeavor. So he and I flew down. His first time we flew out of Charlottesville on April 12th, and we landed in Orlando, and we went straight to USTA National. If you've never been there and you play tennis, you ought to go sometime. It is unbelievable. So we were there for the USTA National Collegiate Wheelchair Tennis Tournament.
It's a mouthful. Yeah.
It is. And there were 12 universities present. This is the first time anyone from Virginia has been there. And we spent 5 nights. It was hot, but he played his first tournament, and he won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. And he did incredibly well. I was so proud of him. He just took it all in stride. He wanted to hit.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mason, it is 3 o'clock and it is 100 degrees. We're going back to the hotel so you can relax.
I was already sunburned at that point.
And so
it can't get worse.
just because of his eagerness, he wanted to hit so much, but sometimes the coach has to say, no, you can't, because you're going to get hot, burned, exhausted. And so, but we had a wonderful time. He got an all academic award because he is a phenomenal student as well as player. And so we will continue to compete. He just went to a tournament match play day in Maryland at JTCC, which is another great facility that has a lot of wheelchair tennis. He will compete again in a few weeks in Richmond, and then there's the tournament in June. But these tournaments I'm mentioning aren't necessarily collegiate tournaments, so you can't be coached. The nice thing about going to Orlando is I was able to be with him on the court and talk to him in between points or games or whenever he wanted me to, or maybe when he didn't want me to, I did anyway. So we are just, we need to get funding. So we do have an EIN. We do need more support so that we were able to travel. But just to keep on and get more students to come and be on the team. And so we're, a competitive team. We already are, but we just need more people.
Yeah, need a doubles partner.
Yeah.
Well, Catherine mentioned that you expedited this. How did you walk us through that plan? I get the
you
impression.
just complain, man. You just start complaining.
Well, I get the impression, and I've known you for all of 30 minutes here, but I get the impression that you get stuff done. That you're the type of guy that once you put your mind to something, that you get it done. You're a doer.
I'd like to think that. But yeah, there are routes that you can take at UVA if you know them to initialize some sort of change, and hopefully you'll have support after you start advocating for yourself. It just takes constantly reiterating what you want. And also, the university has no reason not to invest in it.
Right. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah, financially, we didn't even have startup costs. And
right.
So it's like, that was a big thing. Like, why would you say no? Like, I just need the groundwork for something to then build something bigger and then hopefully beat Alabama. That's the goal. That's the goal.
That's the goal, Catherine.
Sure.
That's my goal.
What we found, though, is that you need an advocate. You need somebody. We found, in athletics, somebody who was familiar with this in another university. You have to find somebody that kind of understands what you want and has seen it happen before, can help it happen. So we're hoping that Carla Williams will, get more on board. And we're just going to keep persevering because we both do that.
Well, we already have huge involvement from kinesiology department, which has been big, and applying for grants through them for wheelchair tennis, or I guess sports chairs.
Sports chairs, yeah.
Mostly for basketball.
And they're expensive.
But they are.
Put it in perspective. Expensive.
A sports chair?
Yeah.
Depends. If you're getting it custom, it's like $10,000.
Wow,
yeah.
That's expensive.
Well, the ones we would, because we've just done research through PATA to try to buy our own so we can have them for people to borrow. But between $3,000 and $5,000 is a decent chair.
Yeah.
And it makes a significant impact?
Yeah. If you have no barriers to entry for somebody who's coming to your club, imagine somebody's at entry level. They don't have a sports chair, but they want to try it out, and maybe they'll potentially like it. If you have all the equipment ready for them, you can adjust the chair. You have a tennis racket for them.
Sport's easier, so they're going to play longer
and
more often.
Yeah,
like any sport, if you have success with it, you want to play more.
And if you have more people, then you create a social environment that people feel comfortable in, and maybe that keeps them coming back, other than just the sport itself.
So what's the plan here? I would think the plan, and Noelle, Noelle is such an advocate. She's watching. She says Mason is so inspirational. His growth and dedication over the last year to build his game and awareness for wheelchair tennis is awesome.
Thank you.
So what's the plan? Is it to grow fundraising, grow engagement, take it into a larger geographical scope? What's the plan?
So for the University of Virginia, having a program with multiple people in it. Because, ultimately we want longevity with it. because a lot of the programs that haven't succeeded at UVA that maybe are adaptive programs suffered from that. They had maybe one person being involved and then didn't grow their program. So nobody else was involved and it just fizzled out. That's a problem with every single adaptive program. You have to find a community who will be there for a long time. I mean, unfortunately, I leave in like 2 years, so we got to do it.
Still
in that
got time though.
Still got time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But grow it in terms of people being involved, and then that will hopefully achieve what else you ever want, whether that be like success in tournaments or just, you know, having outreach programs, just having something tangible at the University of Virginia.
Do you feel compelled, maybe even pressure, to take this to a different level and to help grow this? Because, I mean, you clearly are committed to this. And you are a goal, obviously. Again, I've spent now 42 minutes with you, but I can tell immediately that you're a goal-oriented person and you have a macro picture of what you want to see happen here.
I mean, now that I'm involved with it, I mean, I'm sure Kat would say the same. It's like, why not? I mean, we already have the groundwork for it. Might as well like make something big, and that will be hopefully continuous past the time I leave college or past the time Kat eventually doesn't want to coach anymore.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No.
She loves
20
it.
years.
No. But yeah, I mean, yeah, of course I feel pressure. I mean, that's how you get things done. Ultimately, if you don't have that, then what's the incentive for you to do anything?
I love that mentality. Jeff Townsend, welcome to the program.
Oh, Jeff, he's Clemson.
Clemson in the
Yeah,
house,
he
Clemson Tigers.
competes.
Okay, you watch it right now. Jason Howard, hello. So, a lot of comments coming in. So let's get to them. Are there different rules when playing on the court when compared to tennis, as someone may know tennis? That's a good question.
You want to explain that one?
The only difference is wheelchair players get 2 bounces.
Okay.
Everything else is the
It's the
exact
same.
same. Everything.
Okay. Another question has come in. This is from Clay, who's watching outside Asheville, North Carolina. What's the most challenging aspect of tennis for Mason? What has been the most difficult aspect of the sport to get used to?
Everything. Mainly returning the first serve. That's been a huge issue. I mean, originally it was serving in itself, but I feel like I've definitely progressed with that. Not last night's practice. I was not hitting those at all. But that's, I mean, definitely just returning on that first serve, because you have to come at it at a certain angle, and you really just, like, it's just practicing a bunch for you to finally get it.
So the follow-up question is, what's your favorite aspect of the game and what are you best at? And I'll acknowledge Yelena Peskova, who's watching the program right now and giving Catherine some props. So what makes him, why don't I ask Catherine this question? Because you're a very humble guy, I can tell that. What makes him so dynamite on the court? What are biggest strengths?
Well, he's determined, very determined. And the nice thing is, you know, we traveled together. Literally, we were together for 5 nights and 6 days, and
Yes.
we got along. He's just an easy guy to be around. I mean, I don't think I got on your nerves, or maybe a little bit, but he didn't get on my nerves.
Sunscreen.
I did spray sunscreen in his ear.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's just he is what he, I mean, you can see he wears his heart on his sleeve. What you see is what you get. We have gotten along since day one. You know, a part of me like wants to call him like my son, but he's not. He's more like my friend. And I want the best for him, but he's going to get the best no matter what, because he knows he's just got conviction. He's got a great heart. He's very ethical and kind, humble. I mean, he's class A package.
Stop.
He is.
Love
Keep
Catherine.
going.
I love Catherine. I love Catherine. Is this, we call it in advertising, this is an advertising agency, a proof of performance, a POP. Is this a POP that will help scale wheelchair sports into other niches?
Do you want to answer
Can
that?
I say one thing real
Yeah,
fast?
of course.
Just because I tend to forget things.
Yeah.
So in addition to wheelchair tennis, I mean, we believe that there could be wheelchair basketball.
That's what I'm saying.
But then you
Yeah.
need at least five students.
Right.
We could do adaptive skiing. I mean, we have Wintergreen right down the street, and then Massanutten as well. They have adaptive ski programs. We could, not, whether it's me or not, but, you know, there's so many things they could do. There's soccer, there's rugby, there's track, there's swimming.
There's a ton of opportunity.
A ton of opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we want people to want to come here.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially with expanding to other adaptive sports. I also think having the wheelchair tennis team or whatever adaptive program that we eventually develop, that we can do outreach, especially inside communities. I know a lot of Alabama's program. I know Michigan's does. They go to their local communities and, you know, introduce them to the sports. I mean, the Cardinals do.
Yeah.
And then also, I hope UVA developing some sort of adaptive program would pressure other schools in Virginia to do
For
so.
sure.
Especially
I mean, because
Tech.
UVA is you know, we'll cut to the chase here, and I'm not trying to toot our own horns over here, but I mean, the leader.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we're talking
Oh, yeah, best.
world class here. You know, and I know we go there, we're passionate for it, you know, the school, but truly they are. So, I mean, I would think it would almost be like, that was a follow-up I would have for you, Mason, like a keeping up with the Joneses effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if UVA is first to market, I wouldn't be surprised that then if you see Virginia Tech and JMU and VCU jump in.
Well, Virginia Tech, they are very on board.
Okay.
In fact, I went to Virginia Tech last fall. They had a program where some of the Team USA, they're now competing in Portugal. There's a wheelchair tournament in Portugal where 40 countries are represented.
Wow.
They came to Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech is definitely on board. So we want them to have a team. Right now, they don't have a student. I mean, they have a student, but they're almost ready to go. They didn't have a student to go to nationals at USTA, but Tech is definitely on board. They're Jim Thompson, the men's tennis coach, is so on board as well. And his son his son plays tennis for Tech, and I want to give a shout out to Frank because he just got the service award from the ACC. So yeah, Tech is great. We want them to have a team. We want Liberty to have a team because there's a junior wheelchair player in Oregon who only wants to go to Liberty. So we want Liberty to have a team so that she can come to Virginia and compete. We want JMU we want anybody to have a team.
Well, it just makes tournaments so much easier because
You don't have to travel.
you don't have to travel.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Right.
You just pop on down to Tech.
Right.
Like, I mean, hopefully the fact that bigger colleges have going into adaptive sports like Alabama, Michigan, Clemson, UVA, Arizona, Houston, big colleges, hopefully burgeon other colleges to actually follow up and, you know, want to get into the sport themselves. Because, I mean, adaptive sports is so much to grasp right now because, like, there's so little involvement comparatively with non-adaptive sports that you can really have a lot of domestic success if you just invest, which has been seen with Alabama. Like their program has won nationals 6 times in a row now, I'm pretty sure.
Their team is full. They
Yeah.
can't even take more students because their team is full. Now,
Wow.
that might change. But like I just mentioned
Yeah.
Arizona, they just signed at least 3 athletes. Lily Lautenschlager, she's in Portugal competing. She's a junior competing, plays basketball and tennis. And I mean, they draw players because of their community, their coaches, their teams. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So, you know, we have a little ways to go, but we'll just keep on trying.
I love it. So Melinda Pilcher, hello and welcome to the program. Melinda is watching Borgenson.
Yeah.
Giving you some props here.
Melinda.
More questions are coming in. Let's get to Vermont. Justine's up there. And she says,
Can I say Alex? So Justine is Alex Six's
Oh, I know.
mother.
Yeah.
He's playing at Tech.
absolutely.
Love him.
Justine, we love when you watch our shows. She watches a lot of our shows and participates. Will the new Mid-Atlantic Tennis Center that's going to be built in Leesburg be wheelchair friendly?
It's a great question.
To be
I
determined?
would imagine they have to. I don't know for sure, but I would imagine it's got to be part of their plan. but I don't know for sure. But that's a great question, Justine. I might pass that along to USTA Mid-Atlantic, but I would imagine.
Great question. This is from Leslie in Richmond, Virginia. Is the sport, what are the first important skills for the sport? Is it being a technician in the sports chair or having the strokes to play tennis itself?
I think it's the sports chair. I mean, if you can't get around on the court, you're screwed. I mean, just to be honest, like,
How does someone develop that skill? Just get in the chair, practice?
yeah, I mean, it's easier for me just because I've used the chair for 20 years. So chair skills kind of just come naturally. But for somebody who maybe is an amputee and doesn't use a wheelchair on a daily basis, it can be a lot harder. I mean, getting power in your push, knowing where to put your hands on the wheels, knowing not to get to the ball too quickly and get jammed like I do every single time.
What's that mean?
The ball comes straight at you. I mean, in basketball, like I mentioned, like the goal is to get to the ball as quickly as possible. And I took that way into tennis, way too much into tennis, honestly, where I will just go towards the ball as quickly as possible, and I get there way too early. So I just have to like push my tennis racket towards it without actually having a good stroke.
Got it. So how about this question? Jerry, please ask the student what he's studying at school.
I'm a double major, so I'm studying public health sciences and computer science. Computer science is more just a hobby at this point. I don't know if I'm actually going to use it as a career, but yeah, public health sciences. Right now I'm hopefully studying disability inequities in healthcare systems and how to mitigate issues on an American healthcare system.
Dude, you're so impressive. So, I mean, this
Well, I
guy.
haven't. I'm studying it.
Still, you're so impressive. So what's the plan post-college? I mean, and obviously this could change. You're in your second year. We all know this could change.
So post-college, hopefully during my time at college, this has been sort of a recent goal, is studying disability inequities on a higher education level, so targeting universities. Because what you see is a large disabled population never pursuing higher education because of financial incompatibility. Or
What's that mean?
like they're just spending too much money on healthcare as it is. So I mean, you have to invest into medical equipment that maybe isn't covered by your private insurer. So there's just no route for them to get into college, which could be solved through scholarships and adaptive athletic scholarships. And also. What was I talking about?
Post-college.
Post-college.
Yeah.
And then also studying, like I want to work for a public health commission, and hopefully that's on a citywide level, and I can hopefully initialize change in terms of accessibility changes, like we've talked about physical accessibility bunch. I think that's the best first step for any public health commission when dealing with disability inequities in their communities.
Lauren Smith is watching in Ivy. She says, so how can we help? Catherine, what do you need?
Well, we could use funding.
Yeah, money.
We
Yeah.
need
Ask for it.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
I fronted everything we did for USTA, for Orlando, and then we've gotten almost fully reimbursed, but not quite. But for the future.
You fronted it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You covered it yourself.
Well, but I knew that we had $1,000 from USTA Mid-Atlantic and another $1,000 from USTA National Wheelchair in Orlando. And then Kim Armstrong gave us a nice donation, and then we should be getting some reimbursement from the university.
Great.
But we want to continue, and it's expensive. I mean, we flew. Not every tournament's going to cost as much as that one did, but it was a great first one to attend. I mean, I don't think it could have been much better, just to communicate with other students in chairs, their coaches, the USTA staff at National. I mean, it was a wonderful event. So there are tournaments, just like able-bodied tournaments, scheduled throughout the year. There's one in Hilton Head, that's a big one that we'd like to attend. Clemson has one in July. we have a camp in August, a David Wagner tennis camp at the Boar's Head indoors, which is great because it's going to be hot in August. Anyway, so we have, what we do is going to be dependent upon how much money we have, how much funding we have. And I don't have to go to all of them. It just depends on, how much funding we have. So if anybody is really interested, like I said, we do have an EIN number. So we do have a tax exempt number. And we have an account. We have our wheelchair tennis account at a bank. Anyway, so please message me, or we would love to talk to you, and you would know where your funds are going. Right now, I'm not really getting coaches' fees yet, but that should happen. It needs to happen at some point.
Absolutely.
But I did want to thank PATA because before the club team was formed, and still a little bit, they have covered our court costs at the Boar's Head because nothing is free until when you're under a roof. And but the Boar's Head has been great to let us practice there. But PATA has covered those indoor court fees, so we thank them.
So here's a very good question. Mason, is there a surface that is more conducive to you, and also are adaptive sports played on all four of the tennis surfaces?
They are.
Yeah?
Yeah, they are. I haven't played on clay, but I never want to play on clay. It
There's
looks
3 surfaces, right?
They play, actually, all the Grand Slams have a wheelchair component.
Okay, but it's grass, clay, or a hard
clay,
court?
hard. All right, so you've got red clay.
Okay, varying clays.
Yeah.
Okay, so clay, grass, or hard?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so is there a surface you prefer?
I've only played on hard. I haven't played on clay. I never want to play on clay.
Well, Keswick was kind enough to offer us an opportunity this month, actually. Tristan and Gabriella were, but the guys are like, I hate playing on clay. Thank you,
Yeah.
but I don't like playing on clay, so.
Because it's challenging in the chair?
It's also disgusting.
He hasn't played on it yet, so it isn't necessarily disgusting. But, the ball is slower.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I think if they tried it at Keswick, I think it might be pleasant, especially the middle one, the carpeted court, but I'm not sure. But, but from what we've heard from a lot of the players around town, that this clay just isn't, they don't necessarily want to go out on a Friday night and play on clay when they could hit on a hard court and get a little more out of it.
Daniel Lee, giving you some props, Catherine.
Hi, Daniel.
Says Kat is absolutely awesome. I concur with that. She is awesome. David Cook, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. 6 states on the show here. All right, so let's wind this down here. What do you want to see? What do you want to ask? You got a lot of the community watching. Here's a chance to draw the community in, engage with them even more. What do you want to see from this community, and what do you want to see from the club, say over the next 5 years, which would be 3 years after you graduate?
So I want to see more, in terms of UVA, I'd love to see top-down support. So having administrators who want to invest in it, making alumni networks aware of it, and increasing investment, because that's ultimately what we need. I mean, Kat can't keep coaching me for free. We need equitable court times with men and women's teams, and we need Snyder tennis courts are kind of inaccessible. There's not really an accessible pathway down that's easily achievable.
Now that I think about it,
We go
been there.
up and down the grass hill. I push him up the hill.
I've been there so many times, it's completely inaccessible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so
It's
that's
not completely, but it's almost. If he wasn't as strong, if you've seen him with his
you can
tank
go.
on.
You can go.
I mean, dude's jacked.
I know, right?
Yeah, he's jacked.
So we go to the Boar's Head, just because
yeah,
it's easier.
Yeah.
It is way easier, but I mean, we compete for court times there.
Well, I mean, and that's okay. That's okay. It's
Yeah,
a process. It's a process.
it's-
We're grateful for what we get.
But I mean, keeping on that theme is, I just need UVA to want it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the main thing. Like, I need them to have people who want to put time into, like, finding junior athletes who may want to come here, offering athletic scholarships, making out-of-state tuition waivers. Tangible changes that could help junior athletes come here and actually incentivize people with disabilities to come to the university.
This seems like an absolute no-brainer for UVA. I mean,
Yeah,
you're looking
it
at
does.
like a tennis powerhouse.
Yeah.
You're looking at an innovator, world-class leader who likes to be first to market in everything they do.
Should.
I mean, this is a no-brainer,
Yeah.
right? I mean, isn't it obvious? This seems so obvious, right?
I mean, yeah, this is what I think about. Yeah, again, it just takes people who want to put in effort. Like, I'm sure, like, on the surface level, yeah, it's a great idea for UVA, but that requires people putting time into it, which not everyone wants to do. So I think UVA can be a huge player in adaptive sports. Like, with the amount of, like, knowing our endowment, we could definitely dominate in any sort of adaptive sports, whether that be basketball, tennis, skiing.
What is the most popular adaptive sport?
Basketball.
Is it basketball?
It's definitely basketball.
Yeah. Is tennis too?
Probably.
I mean, the
yeah.
challenging aspect with basketball is the amount of players.
Yeah,
Is that not right?
So I originally wanted a wheelchair basketball team.
Like I said, I love playing racket sports. It's much easier for me to get a singles game than a doubles game
Yeah.
because the amount of players and coordinating schedules, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that made tennis so appealing initially, now I really love it.
Was the singles aspect that you only needed one
you only
opponent?
need one player.
Yeah.
So that you could actually create some sort of adaptive program to then get people in and then expand upon
Right.
that. So yeah, it was mainly a first step, and now I like it. So
You are awesome.
thank you.
Seriously, dude. Like a rock star here. What do you want to see from the club? And let's also highlight Piedmont Area Tennis Association. Show's yours on both topics.
Oh, boy. I just want to continue. I kind of have the outlook that I want to tread on this carefully. Like, I don't ever want to offend anybody like UVA for their,
Yeah.
not being where maybe we think they should be. Because
I don't think you've done that.
No,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
don't want to.
I'll do that. Don't worry.
He can do that, and I will just keep begging, please, what can we do? What can we do? I mean, they have that Olympic stadium that's in the master plan.
Yeah.
Like how can adaptive have a place in there in some
Carve
way?
a little niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I do. I mean, we want more students to come here. So I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing. I'm lucky because being on this USTA National Committee, I have access to a list of junior players in the country and even in the world. Well, maybe not as much in the world, but some.
You can go with the world.
Yeah. That I can recruit.
Ben Levine is loving what's happening right here on the
great.
show.
So, having access to that database of junior players in the country, and one of the missions of the USTA National Wheelchair, having excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm starting to stutter. I did that last time. Is to make junior players want to continue playing, want to go to college, and have something else to work towards. Some of them want to be a Paralympian. Well, good. A lot of them are going to be Paralympians, but just to make sure that they stay in school, they go to college, get jobs. So that's kind of one of the goals of having more adaptive programs, is to lure more students in chairs or with physical disabilities to go to college. And Piedmont Area Tennis Association, we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing. We work with not only wheelchair players, but also individuals with cognitive impairments. I think I mentioned this before, is in October, is that our goal is to fulfill our mission statement, to reach anybody that we can that wants to play tennis at an affordable rate or free. We have camps starting this summer, more junior camps. Anyway, we just keep going.
You know what I've noticed with your athletes is they get on the court smiling and they leave the court smiling.
Oh, well, they should. It should be fun. We want them to get better, but we also want them to have fun.
You're awesome.
Oh, thank you, Jared.
She is
You are
a
too.
diamond. Mason, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Truly
Thanks
a pleasure.
everybody for watching.
It's a pleasure. Judah Whitcower is our director. Guys, thank you so much. A couple of other topics we'll get to here in a matter of moments on the program. Excuse me. One of the topics I want to highlight today, and thank you to Mason and Catherine for joining us. For those that are asking, the interview will be archived, and I see multiple people asking, archived in totality on iloveseville.com iloveseville.com. Excuse me as I battle allergy season here. The Ix Art Park is so innovative in what it does for this community. And the Ix Park is starting a Sunset Market series on Thursday nights. So this essentially is going to be the second farmers market at Ix. It's got one on Saturday mornings, and now it's kicking off a Thursday evening market that it's dubbing the Sunset Market from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Ix Park. I'm watching firsthand as Ix in this 17 and a half acres are in a lot of ways becoming one of the crucial heartbeats of the city of Charlottesville. Look, the downtown mall and the University of Virginia and grounds will always be the two focal points. But what Ix is offering is green space and live music and a space to congregate and meet, a showcase of local vendors that cannot afford brick and mortar storefronts, food trucks, a farmer's market experience, art, the Looking Glass. It's just a great spot for this community. Someone described Ix Park as the last little bit of weird in Charlottesville and meant that in the most positive way. And I thought that was just a fantastic description. It's not commercialized, it's not commoditized, it's not big box brands. It's the businesses and it's the community members we love to support and champion. So Ix Park, Thursdays, kicking off a Sunset Farmers Market from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. They're going to launch it with breweries and an opportunity for you guys to get to know the community. Two other items before we wind down today's show. The volatility with the economy and the stock market is tangible and palpable. We all see it. If there's a positive that's coming out, it's the jobs numbers that just came out. Hiring in the manufacturing, transportation, and healthcare sectors helped the United States economy add more than 400,000 jobs in April. Manufacturing, the industry that saw the largest one-month pop in job gains, added 55,000 jobs during the first month of the second quarter. Strong hiring in the manufacturing, transportation, and warehousing and healthcare sectors during April helped the U.S. economy notch its 12th straight month of job gains of $400,000 or more. I think they just passed by, so if you want to grab the keys, that would be great, Judah. So there are glimmers of hope. We've got a war in Russia and Ukraine that's impacting the economy. Inflation surging, supply chain issues, labor shortage issues, and escalating fuel costs. We all know this. But I'm a guy who is glasses half full. And when I see the job numbers for a 12th straight month in positive scenario, I cling to that. And I hope the positivity is around the horizon. And to close the program, I mentioned this to start the show, I encourage anyone that's watching the program to check iloveseville.com later today, not only for the interview with Mason McGrady and Catherine D'Souza, but we'll highlight a new business that's for sale in the city of Charlottesville, and it's the Hive Art and Craft Bar. $90,000 asking price. The entrepreneurs behind this business have run it for 4 years, the founders, and now they are looking to pursue a different professional path. $90,000, all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, the customer database, the website, the social media, and just a chance to grow a company and a brand to the next level. From what I have seen so far, this is one of the best chances to buy a local business and grow it. An enterprising entrepreneur will take this brand to another level and really make something special of it. The Hive Art and Craft Bar on the market for $90K. For Judah Wickower, my name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love Seville show on a Friday, Follow us on social media, follow our Instagram, and visit our website, iloveseville.com. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Friday afternoon. Take care.